Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Leena Iyar. Leena is the Chief Brand Officer at Moxtra. She is responsible for all aspects of Moxtra's marketing efforts, including strategy, brand awareness, growth marketing, public relations, and customer communications. So please plug your earphones in, sit back, relax, and let's dive right into our conversation with Leena. Hey Leena, so welcome to our show. Could you share with us a little bit about your journey, how it is that you got into marketing and brand awareness, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, I'd love to say thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited about being here.
You're welcome.
And second off, I got into marketing actually when I was in college. So I started by working on a mock-up of a product that then sort of evolved as part of working with the Moxtra team into what Moxtra is today. And so I've been involved with the team since then. And I sort of started as someone who had their hands a little bit in everything. So, the marketing, the website, the design, the fonts, and the role just evolved since then. And I think that, the nice thing about being in marketing is that there's a new creative challenge every day. I think you're thinking about things from a design perspective, you're thinking about things from an audience perspective, and most importantly, from an experience perspective. And so it sort of blends all of these together into sort of a comprehensive experience.
Okay, so could you share with us a little bit about how it is that, especially in this time that we're operating in, we're impacted by the pandemic globally and people have to literally reinvent themselves.
Yes.
What have you noticed? Any different trends in that whole space in terms of people just keeping their brand consistent and top of mind with the customer, and of course ensuring that even if the customer is not shopping with them as they used to, how is it that they're staying relevant to those customers?
Absolutely. So we're seeing this a lot with our customers and just with businesses that we speak to. That, as you said, in today's world, it's no longer a nice to have to, be able to engage your customers on digital channels. It's now an imperative. And I think for so many businesses, there is this push to, adjust, adapt, and reinvent and reimagine the way that they're engaging with their customers on digital channels. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing in that regard is this whole idea of, whatever it might be, to provide a convenient experience for your customers to do business with you on digital. And so that, that's the case whether you're a law firm, that's the case whether you're a couture designer, that's the case whether you're a real estate agent. And really the whole concept is about keeping your customers engaged under your brand. And, a lot of what we do here at Moxtra is that, we power people's one-stop customer portals, which is basically a digital branch for their business under their brand, which helps them engage their customers and as well as manage their organizations to deliver that service experience.
Right. Now, marketers sometimes can come over to be a little pushy.
Yes.
What do you think is the approach they should be taking now, seeing that, as I said, a lot of people are in hibernation. They're kind of watching how they spend. Maybe what they would have budgeted to spend on different initiatives for 2020 has probably been scaled down, depending on the mindset of that organization. Because some companies are spending, but then there are a lot who are literally watching what's happening and just being very cautious in terms of their spend and the activities that they would take. So from that perspective, how do you think, what stance do they need to have as it relates to being pushy or just kind of going with what the customer is asking for, even if they're not asking for anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that in our case, and obviously, ours may be a unique experience and sort of a different microcosm, but I think the thing is that, what we do is we enable people to have a digital branch in their pocket at the cost of, one brick and mortar branch. They could possibly be in 1,000 or 10,000 customer pockets. And so the reach, the distribution, the scale of that is really huge. And I think from a marketing perspective, it's all about enticing as opposed to chasing, right? So I think that if you have something that genuinely provides value, that makes sense, that will emerge. And it's really just about building the awareness. And when it's the right timing and it's the right customer, things will fit. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, from a marketing perspective, we don't really end up having to do too much as opposed to just building the awareness that there is something like this out there. I mean, for so many businesses, the really emotional thing for us is that for a lot of businesses that, might not be able to survive or might have been going under are able to, revitalize and become, a digitally resilient organization through this. And so that's been really huge. Actually, one example of that was really interesting that we heard the other day was they are a collectibles manufacturing company in England. And what they do is, I think 70% of their business was through resellers and 30% of their business was through direct pre-COVID. And, I think overnight they lost about 70 to 80% of their reseller business because so many of it was through, smaller retailers, things like that. And people were sending back stock or not purchasing stock for the rest of the year. And so they had to think really quickly on their feet and reinvent themselves. And, they happened to come across Moxtra. They were able to enable, a digital branch for their organization. And now they've grown their direct business by 80%. And their retailer business is mostly recovered. They've stopped working with the smaller retailers and, primarily focused on larger retailers. And so they've gained back, I think, like 90% of their overall drop in the span of 6 months and are now looking to expand to, Japan, Italy, amongst other countries. And so it's just pretty astronomical. And I think that when you consider the effects of that ties to my point that it has to be compelling on its own. And when it is, customers will come.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. So could you share with us, Leena, a little bit about what Moxtra does? I know it's a one-stop portal that allows customers to basically have everything housed digitally in one place. But let's say, for example, you're a bank and you operate on many different platforms. Could you just give us real time what that means for the bank and how does that translate to the customer's experience?
Absolutely. Yeah, so Moxtra actually has a customer collaboration platform. And so our customer collaboration platform powers these, branded one-stop customer portal experiences. So let's say I'm a bank. What does that mean? It basically means that Moxtra enables me to power my own digital branch. So, let's say I am Van Lanschot Bank in the Netherlands, who's our customer. They have a whole host of private wealth clients. And what they did is they powered the Van Lanschot mobile app and web app that now enables Van Lanschot customers to be able to connect to their personal relationship wealth manager, to receive portfolio advice, updates, everything through the Van Lanschot experience. And it's under their brand, it's their digital branch, and they're able to provide this continuous collaboration experience through that. And, a little bit about us, I'm not sure if you know this, but Moxtra was founded by Subra Iyer, the co-founder and CEO of WebEx, and Stanley Huang, a senior director of engineering at WebEx Communications. And so combined, they have so many years of experience in the collaboration space. And as a result, a big part of, the digital branch experience is this whole collaboration experience, powering the sort of customer engagement portion of the one-stop portal.
So basically, instead of going into a physical branch to meet with your wealth advisor, or let's say, for example, a customer service person, maybe there's something you're trying to sort out on your account, Moxtra's platform allows you to do that in a digital space with that same individual. Is that what I'm getting from what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Exactly.
So that's a new way of doing business, isn't it? Is that widespread? Because I've never heard of that approach being taken. And how is it being adapted in other parts of the world other than Europe, in the Netherlands, for example? Are you seeing it predominantly in the US, in the Caribbean, in South America? Or is it just still very people are not logging on to it as readily? Because it seems pretty simple and easy.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that actually, about 2, 3 years ago, we started to see a lot of traction in Asia Pacific and Latin America because these are very mobile heavy countries. And I think that they have a tendency as a result to be a little faster moving when it comes to new technology. But over the last year or so, I would say, and especially true with COVID, we're seeing this across the board. So United States, Europe, Latin America, Australia, New Zealand, Asia Pac, basically all countries. And the idea is, it's really because that in today's world, businesses need a digital branch where they're able to deliver service to customers. I mean, you can't meet in person. A lot of the times customers aren't even in the same place as your business anymore. You're not even necessarily able to staff the brick and mortar branch. So, having a digital branch is no longer nice to have. It's what's enabling you to keep your business going.
Yeah, that's so true. Excellent. All right. So for those of our listeners that, may work in businesses that this type of platform would definitely fit your business need, I definitely encourage you to visit Moxtra's portal, moxtra.com. That's moxtra.com. All right. Now, in terms of designing the customer experience, it's a little bit different when it's digital versus when it's face-to-face. But then you want to ensure that the customer has, if not a similar experience, an even better experience digitally. So some of the challenges that people have, for example, when they deal with face-to-face interactions, at least generally speaking, is wait time, poor communication in terms of people are not following up and letting you know what's happening every step of the way. I interviewed a guest recently and he said if everybody could just give the domino effect, and I said, what's that? And he's like, when you order a pizza from Domino's in their app, you literally are able to see what happens with that pizza every step of the way. So imagine if they were to take that same principle and apply it in every business, whether you're applying for a mortgage or you're buying a car, you are able to literally see where your journey is going every step of the way, all through, technology without you actually having to interface with someone. So what are your thoughts on designing the experience that it's, if not better than the face-to-face experience digitally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you raised a lot of great points. And I would almost say that the first point comes down to time, right? When you're face-to-face, you have to synchronize both time and place. And I think with the rise of virtual meetings, you're able to synchronize just time, but not place.
Right.
And I think that it's going to get to a point, especially for the convenience of the customer, where the customer has to synchronize neither time nor place with a business, which is the effect of the Domino's app, right? I mean, I could be, sitting in my house and I could place an order on my phone and the pizza will be there and I can track every step of the way, but I don't have to get on the phone and call Domino's and talk to them about what I want. The app is and the experience is presented in such a way that, I'm able to get my business done in a one-stop experience. And we talk about this a lot actually at Moxtra from the perspective of customer convenience and customer experience. And it's an interesting point because it actually goes back to, let's take the paradigm of the desktop, right? The desktop computer. If you look at the kind of programs that did well on the desktop, they were mostly productivity solutions in many ways. And
True.
For that, because the desktop is an information presentation tool, right? It's an information presentation machine. You can toggle between multiple windows at the same time. You can multitask very easily, and it sort of supports that. Whereas if you go to your mobile phone, it's primarily a communication device, right? You can't toggle between different windows that easily. When you're in an app, you're in the app, and when you shut it, you move to another window.
Yeah. And
I think as a result of that, if you look at the kind of experiences that have done well on mobile, it's businesses like Tesla, it's businesses like Uber, it's businesses like Instacart, like Domino's that provide this one-stop service experience, being that it's one stop to get whatever you need to get done with that business done. And as a result, it's super convenient for customers. And so, our logic was, well, wait, all these consumer services are offering this one-stop, on-demand service experience. Why shouldn't B2B companies, why shouldn't you expect the same thing from your law firm or from your mortgage broker? And I think that, to your point, it's going to become, very necessary because people expect that, and they expect it from their consumer services, and they're going to come to expect it from their business services. So I think that from a company perspective, focusing on the customer experience, companies have a tendency to focus on themselves and, what makes them look good and how, their business is going to be. But I think that from an experience perspective, you always have to put yourself in the shoes of your customer. Who are they? What are they concerned about? And, what's going to make it easiest for them to want to do business with your organization versus another organization.
Right.
And if you, from that perspective, if you work externally, thinking about what they're going to want to see and what's going to make it easy, then you have to look at things that have done well, on a mobile form factor, and then try to make a consistent experience across touch points, make it seamless. So whether someone picks up their mobile phone or logs in through a website, that you're offering as a business a very consistent branded experience. So, it's seamless for them and they don't have to think about it.
Yeah, agreed. It's funny you mentioned whichever platform they're interfacing with you, because I recently started doing webinars as one of the offerings for my business, and what the webinar platform that I chose, the primary reason why I chose them was not because of the features that they have, because Zoom had more options, but I chose Demio because I could literally reach out to them on Facebook Messenger, Instagram DM, or even through their website, through their chatbot that they had on their website. And literally whatever conversation I was having in each of those different platforms, for some reason, their experience was an omni experience, not a multi experience. And so it was a continuation of the conversation off of that other platform, which made it so much easier for me, because let's say I wanted to reference something that I had asked them about a week ago. I didn't have to go back to Instagram DM to go, oh, that's what they sent there, because regardless of the platform I'm on, everything is synced into one single window. And I thought that was brilliant.
Exactly. And it provides a persistent experience for you as well, right? There's no burden on you as a customer to now try to recall what somebody said or what might have happened. And from a business perspective, they know all about you. They know exactly what you asked for. The history remains with them versus with whichever rep talked to you last.
Yeah, agreed. All right, great. So, Leena, could you share with us, how do you stay motivated every day?
How do I stay motivated every day? Well, I would say the biggest thing for me is that I'm excited by what I do. And I think that, that drives me, right? Because I think that there's a huge market opportunity and a opportunity to sort of redefine the way businesses engage with their customers. And also, help so many businesses that might not be able to stay afloat in today's world, reimagine and recreate a new way of doing business. And so I think that keeps me really motivated, the idea that we can change really the way that people are doing things and, help so many businesses that might not survive in a traditional approach.
Okay. Now, could you share with us maybe one online resource, website, app, or tool that you absolutely can't live without in your business?
That's an interesting one. I would say that I love the graphic design hubs, actually, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've used something called Theme Forest.
I have not.
Yeah, but it's actually really amazing because there are things like templates for different audio tracks or, graphic design files or After Effects templates. And so, we use visual mediums to communicate our points a lot because our product is highly experiential. So it is something that you need to sort of see and touch. And so, we use a lot of like short form videos, animation, GIFs to communicate what we try to do. And I think that visual supplementation helps a lot with that. So we end up using a lot of graphic and audio assets quite a bit.
Okay, that's good. So that application or website is called Theme Forest, you said?
Correct.
Okay, great. Okay, Leena, can you share with us maybe one or two books that have had the biggest impact on you? It could be a book that you read a very long time ago that still has an impact on you to this day, or maybe a book that you read recently.
Yeah, so actually, and it's an interesting one, and it does tie into a lot of what our brand philosophy is here at Moxtra and how we do things. So the book is actually called Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Yes, I know it. It's a very good book.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think the reason why is because it's so simple. I mean, so many times with marketing and just with overall brand positioning, companies have a tendency to make themselves the hero in the story. And I think
Right.
the biggest takeaway from that book is that it's not about you. You're the guide, and your customer is the hero. Your customer is the character.
Mm-hmm.
And to broaden that point, the idea being that, hey, they're on their journey. And, as a marketeer, and as someone thinking about your customer experience, the most important thing you can do is tune into their journey. What are they looking for? How are they going about their journey? And then how can you better help them?
Mm-hmm. All right. So Donald Miller, Story Brand.
Yes.
Okay. Now, could you share with us maybe one or two things that is going on in your life right now? Either something that you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
Yeah, so I would say one of the things that's going on in my life right now is and I think that, as so many people are, is this transition to working from home, and, remote work from different locations. And I think in many ways there are advantages to it and there are disadvantages as well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some of the advantages are, people thought that everyone needed to, commute to work at the same time to get things done. Turns out that they don't. People can work from home and be just as productive.
Yep.
And it's more sustainable as well, which is amazing. But I think on the other side, there's a shift in work patterns. So figuring out a new routine and how best to sort of keep yourself energized and motivated and on top of the ball as well.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, Leena, can you please share with our listeners where they can find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me online on my LinkedIn, as well as, we've written some articles about different topics to do with customer experience and persistent experiences for customers. So you might be able to find that. But yeah, on my LinkedIn, everyone's welcome to connect with me there.
Okay, great. And before we wrap our interview up, we always like to ask our guests, could you share maybe one, or if you have more than one, a quote or a saying that during times of adversity or challenge, you'll tend to revert to this quote or saying because it kind of helps to help you to overcome that obstacle or that adversity?
Ah, that's an interesting one. So I would say it's sort of a strange pick, but I don't know if you've ever watched that show Cosmos, but the original one with Carl Sagan.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually show an image of Earth from very far away, and it's just a pale blue dot on a screen of black. And he says, look at that dot, right? That's home. That's where everyone who you've ever heard about, every human being who ever lived, any story that you've ever heard, any idea that you've ever had has come out of that pale blue dot. And I think that it always puts things in perspective for me. How many years the earth has been here and how short amount of time we have. And I think how our lives can have such a large impact over generations. And I think that it always just frames things for me and puts things in perspective about life.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for sharing. So, Leena, thanks so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to hop on this podcast and share with us all of these great nuggets as it relates to designing a customer experience and journey that is one that is consistent, is one that is delivering what your customer actually wants, and of course, that you're adding value to the customer's life, especially in this economy, this time that we're all operating in. So what you shared with us was very, very important. And I know that it will add great value to the listeners when they listen to this episode. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Yannick. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I really appreciated your time. And looking forward to staying connected. Thank you again.
You too. So please feel free to hop onto Facebook and join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And feel free to hop onto Twitter and follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant. Thank you for listening to Navigating the Customer Experience. If you'd like to connect with us even more,
please feel free to hop onto Facebook and join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And of course, feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. We also have a new book available on Amazon, The ABCs of a Fantastic Customer Experience. It's available in ebook and paperback. So if you want to increase revenue in your organization, build a stronger service culture, and create employees or develop employees who are really mastering service delivery in your business, you need to grab a copy of this book. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.